Is Giovanna Bernal. I'm a Panama attorney with more than 15 years of experience. And today I have the pleasure to interview Paul Kittson from Paraguay as a Plan B. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Giovanna. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Great. Paul, I'm very curious. I hope that we can have this interview and you can tell me everything about Paraguay as an option to relocate. In this case, I'm going to ask you questions about how's Paraguay, and perhaps I can compare it with Panama just for more reference to our viewers. Can you tell me more about your business and what do you do in Paraguay?
Yeah, absolutely. So PlanB Paraguay is Asuncion-based residency company, and we focus in helping people with residency and also starting a new life in Paraguay, whether that's someone that just wants a residency in Paraguay as a backup, or they're looking to really move to Paraguay and start a whole new life here.
Oh, that's great. Recently, there's a lot of people looking for Plan B, and as we discussed before, right, like they're looking for options, residency, and find a way to move to another country. How is the tourist visa for people to enter Paraguay?
Yeah, well, it really depends on the passport that people hold. So for the majority of passports, it's quite easy. You can generally just arrive in Paraguay and you have passport-free access, say, for example, for a European passport, or you can get a visa on arrival for other passports, for example, an Australian passport like mine. So in terms of just visiting Paraguay as a tourist, it's quite easy to do that.
Oh, interesting. How long can a tourist stay in Paraguay? I know it depends on the nationality, perhaps.
Yeah, that's correct. So it does depend on the nationality, and the tourist visa is usually from 30 to 90 days.
Okay, I see. In Panama, Americans and Canadians can stay up to 180 days, but then the rest, most countries, just 90 days, right?
Okay.
Do you have like a perpetual tourist, like some tourists that never want to get residency?
So potentially, there are people here that overstay their residency visa, their tourist visa.
Right.
But generally, at least for us, the process of getting residency is quite easy. So if someone's interested, they generally just go through the process.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's great to know. And let's go to the real deal, the residency options. I've heard that in some videos I watched, and also I had clients that told me that Paraguay can be an option. Like we discussed, people from South America, Colombia as well, like looking to find a Plan B because the political situation. And I think also people from America, European, or you mentioned digital nomads are interested. So tell me about what are the requirements for residency?
Yeah, absolutely. So the requirements for residency for everyone is, first, obviously, you need to have a visa to enter Paraguay. So for most passports, that's quite easy because you can get that when you arrive. Some passports, however, will need to apply for a visa beforehand. The second thing you're going to need is your birth certificate. It's going to need basically an apostille on it, which is effectively a stamp that the government of a document will put on one of their documents so that another country, in this case Paraguay, can accept it. The third thing that you're going to need is a clean criminal record check. And again, that's going to need an apostille. And really, besides that, if you come to Paraguay and you pay the fees, that's really it. It's quite a simple process.
Really? No need to show anything else?
No. So previously, prior to November of last year, Paraguay asked that participants either have a university degree or they basically invest the equivalent of $5,000 in a Paraguayan bank. As of November last year, they've scrapped that requirement. So it's really just those document requirements that you need.
Oh, wow. That's very straightforward. So in the case of digital nomads, they just have to show the criminal report and the birth certificate?
That's correct. Yeah. And then obviously go through the process here and submit their documents,
Uh-huh.
while you're in Paraguay, fingerprints, taking photos, obviously signing official documents. But in
Sure.
terms of the prep beforehand, it's really those things.
Okay, very interesting. Do you have like a type of residency by investment option or you mentioned the profession that was deleted or by having a business or work
Yeah.
permits?
Yeah, so the option I was just describing is
Uh-huh.
is to obtain a temporary residency in Paraguay. Now, this lasts 2 years before
Oh.
you'll then extend it to a permanent residency, which will last for 10 years. There is an option to skip the temporary residency and go directly to the permanent residency. And that's through using a program called the Suase program, where someone needs to invest, it's roughly 70,000 US dollars into the Paraguayan economy. So there is that. It's more of an investment, obviously, but the benefit of that is that you get the permanent residency right away.
Oh, okay, great. So the temporary option that is for 3 years,
Sorry,
um,
2 years.
2 years,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Is that can you renew that or then you have to go to a permanent type of option?
Yeah, so the government recently has changed the rules, and they haven't been specifically, it's going to be this. But from our understanding and our lawyer's understanding, who's very experienced with this, she believes you automatically go to the permanent residency when you renew. So it won't be just you
Oh,
getting temporary. The basically the default option after the temporary will be the 10-year permanent.
okay, great. In Paraguay, do you accept the apostille for legalization
Yeah,
of documents?
so yeah, the Paraguayan does now. As you know, there's some governments, most notably Canada, that
Uh-huh.
doesn't issue apostille. So some people from certain countries have their own specific process, but
Mhm.
Paraguay issues apostille and it accepts apostilles.
Oh, okay, great, great. In order to apply for a residency, do you need to go there to Paraguay to start the
Yeah, so
process?
that is one of the options. You
Uh-huh.
will need to visit Asuncion we like to have our clients here for a week just to make sure all the documents are submitted correctly on their behalf. And that's because the government here, like I said, they need like fingerprints, they need you to sign documents, they need to have your photo taken. So
Uh-huh.
kind of standard stuff.
Can you include dependents on the application? Children, wife, husband?
They would have their separate application. So
Okay.
it'd be a separate
Uh-huh.
submission for each person.
Oh, interesting. It's like in Panama, we have the digital nomad visa. It's only for 9 months, and you can extend that for another 9 months, and it's only for one person. Like if you
Okay.
cannot include your dependents, it's just like you and the children cannot apply. So if they have to get a temporary, they have to apply to another type of visa in order to include their dependents. In Panama, we have many type of residency options, like many, many, many. So we always try to see which one fits for some particular case. Like you have a
Yeah.
temporary and then also permanent options. But usually the permanent options, excluding the pensionado, the one we have for the retirees,
Mm.
are more on investment or having to opening a business, being self-employed, require more paperwork besides the criminal background check. So it's good. Even children can get also in Paraguay permanent residency.
Yes, that's right. They can. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. That's
Obviously, if they're under 18, they're going to need their parents' consent in regards to that. But yes, they can.
Oh, okay. All right. Understand. And is it possible to apply for citizenship in Paraguay?
Yeah. So eventually, what you can do, there's a few rules that you have to meet before you
Mm.
can apply. So I'll go through them briefly. You need to be living in Paraguay for 3 years with a minimum of 6 months in the country each year. You need to either like practice a job or have a business or be a student or, in some way be involved, I guess, in Paraguay. And the third thing is that you need to complete basically a Spanish language and a Paraguayan culture test as well. So after 3 years, you're able to apply for citizenship once you've done those things.
Okay. And then your clients, where are they most from, or what are they looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, we're Plan B Paraguay, right? Which is sort of indicating that maybe Plan A you're not so quite happy with. So generally, we're getting clients from United States, Canada, my country of Australia, and also many countries in Europe are probably our most popular client base. You know, all those countries, great countries. Some people aren't quite happy with how those countries are going, so they reach out to a company like ours to look at what other options are available. I'm sure it's the same thing in Panama with you as well.
Yes, indeed. In Panama, we also get clients from, most of them from United States, Canada, Europe, and some Latin American countries, mostly Colombia recently, and a lot of retirees. Yes, because you know, we have the pensionado visa. It's very straightforward. You just have to show they have a pension for life and $1,000, and that's it. So I guess this is why it's very popular among the retirees.
When I fit the requirements, I'm definitely going to apply for that visa because it sounds like
Okay, you're so welcome. So tell me, Paul, how is it the process to open a bank account in Paraguay?
Yeah, so the first thing is you're going to need your cedula, right? So for the people who might not know what a cedula is in Paraguay, when you get your residency, you apply to the government for your cedula. In English, it's effectively a national ID card. It has a little number on it, your cedula number, and that's what you use for many services in Paraguay, including opening a bank account. So once you have that cedula, effectively, you can go to the bank and then you can apply to open for a bank account like you would normally. It's always a process in person generally.
Okay, it's in person. And do you have any restrictions or limits, monetary currency restrictions?
Yeah, so Paraguay has, I would say, quite strict rules in regards to the source of where the money has come from. So with most Paraguayan banks, if you put in more than the equivalent of $1,000 a month into the bank account, they're going to ask for some sort of proof of where this money came from. So generally, you know, you'll show them like your income slip or an invoice to a client, or maybe a statement from your stock trading account or something like that. So that can be sometimes bothersome. Usually once you have a relationship built with the bank, they're not going to ask you as much so often. But early on, if you are putting in that amount of money, they will be asking questions.
Oh, okay, I understand. Yes, in Panama, we also have the same. And it's not above 1,000. It's like, even if it's only $50, we
Really?
need to, yes, even if it's just $1. So if you don't have a proof of income, you cannot open a bank account. You have to have like a formal work job letter, which is a problem for the informal people that cannot show if they don't declare taxes, or if they don't have a job verification letter official, they cannot open a bank account, because we have very strong rules on prevention money laundering. And then yes.
It seems like we both face that in our countries.
Right. And something else about, is it possible for foreigner to buy property in Paraguay?
Again, yeah. So once you have that cedula card, which I mentioned, and you have the temporary residency, effectively you have the same rights as a Paraguayan, obviously minus a passport and being able to vote. So that allows foreigners to buy property in Paraguay, which is obviously something that's very popular right now, because I understand not all countries are so open in allowing foreigners to invest.
Oh, I see. So let's say a foreign investor cannot buy property until it gets the cedula, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Once you have your cedula, then, like I said, all those things, bank accounts, investment, are available to you.
Okay, even if it's the temporary option, right?
So the cedula comes with a temporary residency. Sorry, well, maybe I wasn't familiar. So when you get your temporary residency and you'll get the cedula will only have a 2-year date, that first cedula. And then obviously when you apply,
Oh,
the cedula will extend as well.
oh, that's good to know because in Panama, the document that we call cédula is when you get permanent residency, not
Yeah.
straight away.
Right. In Paraguay, it's kind of weird because there's the residency card and the cedula card, and you need both. Yeah. So yeah, understand the confusion.
Oh, that's good to know. So it's easy for someone that wants to buy property. They just get the cédula, the residency, and start the process of investing or purchasing property.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess what Paraguay is popular for at the moment is there's many people that are looking to invest in, land, or like maybe they want like a little farm or a ranch for themselves, or they
Mhm.
want some agricultural land. So Paraguay attracts a lot of this type of property investment.
Okay. And how about working? Is it possible for a foreigner to work in Paraguay?
Yeah, again, once you have the cedula, you can start working. Obviously, you also need to apply for a tax number in Paraguay as well, called a RUC.
Mm.
So you
Mm.
can, because if you are working in the local economy in Paraguay, you do need to pay taxes. Honestly, generally with our clients, for example, the average income in Paraguay is about 9,000 US dollars a year. Yeah. So
Mhm.
for our clients, we say, I mean, you can live and work in Paraguay on this sort of salary. Probably most Western people are used to earning a little bit more. So with our clients, we generally encourage, hopefully you have an online business, or you're already retired and you have your own savings to live on when you move here, rather than expecting to work in the local economy.
Oh, okay, I understand. I understand. And it also applies for operating a business. The
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, if you're operating a business in Paraguay, you want to create a formal business structure,
Mhm.
and also get the tax file number for the business to operate legally. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
once you have that cedula card, it gives you that option.
Okay, but you can do your online business. If you have an online business, you can operate at in Paraguay, right? Or telework.
Yeah, so with Paraguay, it depends where the business is based, right?
Mm.
So a lot of my clients, for example, have a US LLC. So their business is actually in the US. It's dealing with US customers, in which case they're not subject to taxation in Paraguay. So yes, you can have a business that's a foreign business in Paraguay as well, which is perhaps the most popular option for our clients.
I understand. And can they also work work as a remote worker? Do they have to pay the taxes in Paraguay or?
Right. So for example, let's say it depends, right? It depends on if that company is already paying taxes on their behalf, So let's say I have a guy from Canada, he's living here, but he's working for a Canadian company. That Canadian company is still going to tax him in Canada, right?
Right.
So yeah, generally work that's done, like income in Paraguay, if it's not
Mhm.
taxed overseas, it will be considered
Mm.
Paraguayan sourced effectively.
Oh,
The labor is there. So
right.
yeah. So that's sort of how that tax works. Although I should say I'm not an expert on the taxes. We have
Mhm.
accountants that we recommend people to. So it's always good to get an expert opinion.
Oh, okay, great, great. I'm also curious about in Panama, we have restrictions for some professions, like being a lawyer, an accountant, or a doctor.
Mm.
Some of those professions are restricted for only Panamanian, and also retail
Okay.
is restricted. Are there any
Really?
activity? Yes, for foreigners.
Interesting. Like a shop front.
Uh-huh.
Like a Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so my advice would be definitely not retail is restricted. For example, in many cities in Paraguay, lots of the retail stores are owned by foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think there's any restriction from a foreigner, say, coming to Paraguay to be a doctor or a lawyer. But realistically, right, with these professions, a lot of it also depends on your connection, your network, and that sort of thing. So I imagine someone who's grown up in Paraguay who knows everyone else is going to have an advantage over you coming in as a foreigner and try to practice law here, you know? So
Huh.
I don't believe there's restricted professions, but it's also practically, you know, what
Oh.
you really do.
Oh, that's good to know. Sometimes I get requests from people that are looking to relocate in another country, but the problem for them is that their profession is restricted. For example, in Panama, like being a therapist or a psychologist
Really?
is restricted. You need to get a local license and be Panamanian. So that is an activity that a lot of people can do online.
Right.
Or or over video like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So if it's something that someone can do in Paraguay, that would be very, very useful.
Right. No, there's a very small amount of jobs that I know are restricted only to Paraguayans. Something like a therapist isn't. That said, obviously, I'm not an expert on this. If you're going to come here and be a therapist, there's probably some local licensing you will have to do. So don't just come here and be a therapist. But I agree with your point, right? Usually it's more lucrative for clients to have a tele business where they're perhaps dealing with clients from their home country and their home language rather than coming to a new country and trying to adapt to the situation there.
Right. Yes, I agree with you. It's more convenient if you do it online and you keep doing it with your own company back home and
Exactly. Correct. Yeah.
as a remote basis. Yes. What's the currency in Paraguay? Do you open bank accounts in USD or how does it work?
Yeah, so the currency is called the Guarani. The average exchange rate, $1 is about 7,000 Guarani. So you're almost instantly a millionaire if you come to Paraguay. Most serious bank accounts will have both. So you have a Guarani and a USD account.
Oh, that's good. And how about the language? I know it's Spanish, but there is another language, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So again, the language is also called Guarani.
Guarani.
Generally, Asuncion, it sort of depends where you are in Paraguay. Generally, everyone sort of has a percentage of Spanish to Guarani they speak, yeah, and it's a mixture. I would say in Asuncion, it's 95% Spanish, but they'll throw in a few Guarani words here and there. But if you were to go to rural areas, you know, there's going to be a lot higher percentage of Guarani. Me personally, I'm almost fluent in Spanish. I can't speak any Guarani, and I get around just fine in Asuncion.
Oh, that's great. That's good to know. Do you have to do a test for language in order to get residency or not?
For residency, no, that's
No.
fine. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I do know some of my friends have lived here 5 years and they still can't speak Spanish. So it's a bit shameful as an expat, but yeah, you can. Some people, they just learn, you know, the top 200 Spanish words and they can get by if that's what they want to do.
Right. I guess that it's easy to travel from Paraguay to other South American countries. Do you find
It's
it
like,
easy?
I think it's interesting, right? So we're kind of in the middle of South America, yeah. So it's very easy. For example, lots of Paraguayans holiday in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia. These are sort of the main holiday destinations for us down here. So yeah, it's that's definitely very close and affordable for Paraguayans. Something we don't have, which Panama have, which I really like, is you're sort of in the middle between North and South America. Yeah. So Panama's a very nice hub, which I like.
Yes, it is. Because we have Copa, and Copa has direct flights to every Latin American country. So it gets easier. Some of our clients, they go to Peru, or they just, go to different South American countries, go to Colombia, come back, go to Mexico and come back. And that's quite convenient. Yes. And I guess not so expensive, which is good.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit, just to finish, how is it the lifestyle in Asunción or other
Yeah.
areas?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because I was ignorant before I moved to South America. I thought that Latin cultures is kind of similar wherever you go, right? However, when you live in Latin, for example, in Paraguay, you really realize each country has a very distinct culture. So generally, I would say Paraguayan people, they're probably some of the friendliest people I've met in South America. They're very laid back. They don't talk very loudly. They're not very sort of comfort, like not over, they're not like boisterous or overbearing. So they're very calm, relaxed, peaceful people. Paraguayans generally don't like conflict. They kind of, yeah, I'd say they're just friendly. They're not always on time, for example, if you have a meeting, but I'm sure anywhere in Latin America, it's like that.
Yes, more
And
or less.
yeah, for in terms of the city itself, it's a city that's growing rapidly. So, 20 years ago, probably very few people knew about Asuncion, right? But I think because the economy's been good and the taxation system's good, there's money slowly coming into Paraguay and Asuncion, and you can see it's starting to expand and modernize rapidly.
Oh, that's great to know. I had some Paraguay friends when I studied a master degree, and I used to hang out with them a lot. They were really nice people, and we really
Yeah.
had a very good friendship.
Yeah, the people here, like for example, before I moved, I was very type A, always stressed out, always in a hurry. But when you live here a little bit, you start to absorb the culture a bit, and you also start to like relax and just sort of have a more calm, peaceful life as well, which is nice.
Oh, that's good. Yes, more and more we see more videos on social media and TikToks and posts about Paraguay. So it's getting more and more popular, as you said. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. There is one thing I want to say though, and I think and I recommend this to my clients as well. Oftentimes it's good to have a few different residencies these days, right? Because, for example, I really like Paraguay now. I don't know what it's going to be like in 20 years. It's the same thing as Panama. So with my clients, and perhaps it's the same with yours, sure, absolutely get a Paraguay residency if you want, but also consider a Panama residency as well. Like these days, I think it's good for people to have a lot of opportunities and a lot of options where they want to stay, because we don't necessarily know where the world's going in 5 or 10 years. What country's going to be great, what country's not going to be great. And I think having options like Panama and Paraguay is probably the best way to go about it.
Yes, I totally agree. I think you should always have a plan B of your plan B, as people say, right?
Absolutely.
Always have another plan, because everything changes. Is it, let's say that I apply for the residency in Paraguay as my plan B. How do I have to go there to keep it in good standing? How does it work? Because I'm still living here.
Sure. So for that 2-year temporary residency, there's no minimum time in country requirement. For the permanent residency, officially it states you need to spend 1 day a year here to maintain the residency. However, if you look into it, the rules are the Paraguayan government will only remove your residency by taking you to court and asking a judge to remove it. Yeah. So I know of people where they've spent very little time in Paraguay. They haven't met that minimum residency requirement, but they still maintain their residency because realistically, Paraguay, the government here is not trying to hunt down and take people to court to remove their residency. So officially 1 day a year, if you miss a few years, there's probably going to be very little negative consequence.
1 day in a year.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're, if you're in the South American continent, it's very easy to spend a day, pop in, pop out, and go where you want to.
Exactly. In Panama, it's similar. it's one entry, at least one entry every 2 years. And then
Okay.
if you don't come, there is a process where they can cancel the residency, but you can reestablish it with another process. It's something you can do as well. But it's good, it's flexible.
Could you be in transit to maintain that one? For example, if you're passing through the airport in Panama City, would that maintain it?
Yes, but they have to put the entry seal at customs.
I see. Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, because that's when you will get registered by the immigration office when they put the entry seal. One entry is enough.
Okay, so you could say leave, go through customs and say return if you had another flight, but you would, you'd get your tick effectively for that year.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. To finish, is there any tips or advice you want to give to our viewers and how to contact you for further information?
Yeah, absolutely. We post all the time on our Twitter. If you just type in PlanB Paraguay in Twitter, you'll see we'll be the first one there. We're posting nonstop. In regards to tips, I think start learning more, start opening your mind to options like Panama and Paraguay, because I love my home country, Australia, I really do. But it wasn't until I actually opened my mind and I went to another country, I realized I could have an even better, style of living for me than what I could have back home. So I guess I just want to say there's lots of opportunities out there for people, and they should really start taking action and taking advantage of those.
Okay, great. So we can find you on Twitter. I'm gonna put also your contact details and a link, so if someone can understand more.
I'll give you our website as well, and that'll be good for people.
All right. Okay, great. It's been really, really, really nice. Thank you for this information, Paul. If for the viewers, if you want to follow us, we are in social media, and if you want to have a consultation, there's a link below. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you for having me, Giovanna.
Bye-bye.